What does a $3 million profit channel look like on YouTube?
It's very simple.
Today, I talked to my good friend Ivan Hidalgo, who sold his marketing agency for $3 million when he was just 21 to go work with the guys behind an up-and-coming YouTube channel called Charisma on Command. As their COO, he's helped grow their YouTube channel into a $3 million a year business in only 5 years. And in this episode, we talked about the massive opportunity that's opening up right now for any entrepreneur who wants to partner up with their favorite creators to start a business. Next, we dive into the business model behind a $3 million YouTube channel. And finally, we talk about what the day-to-day of running a 45-person YouTube team looks like. All right, let's dive in.
So sell the agency. What was the job like in the beginning? Like, what were your first responsibilities?
Charisma on Command or the agency? Charisma on Command?
Charisma on Command, yeah. And how did it evolve from there?
So my first task, so I got hired to be a digital marketer and ops manager for Charisma on Command, but I quickly found out that being a digital marketer for dental clinics in a small town is very different than selling a course online to the entire world, right?
So they were looking for someone to like manage the course and kind of like drive traffic to it.
They were looking for a second leg, and we still are, by the way. We're our second leg to sell.
5 years later.
Yeah, right. Still haven't completed the job. A second leg of traffic, because they had the YouTube channel, obviously. Back then, I think we were around just under 1 million subscribers. Now 2 days ago, we just had 6 million, and they wanted to start doing paid ads on Facebook, and that's what I was really good at. But I didn't know how to do it. I had no idea how to offer this at all. So that's why they hired me on. And very quickly, and this is something that has continued, this pattern of negotiation, they said, no, this isn't what we hired you for, but we really like you and we think you have a lot of determination and we want to work with you. We want you to be our ops guy. And I said, great, guys, don't pay me for the first 6 months. Like, I have money. I just want to learn from you guys. And like learn this new space, because I didn't know anything about it. So for the first, I would say, I think 6 months, 8 months-ish, I didn't take any money, but I was shadowing them. So I was living in Toronto at that time, but that was like my permanent residence. But I was mostly like flying to LA and hanging out with them the majority of the time. They were teaching me the ropes about YouTube and email marketing and CTAs and conversion rates and all that stuff.
From that position, like you said, you worked for free for 6 months. Like, what happened after that?
After 6 months, I remember I started getting base salary for $5K. And I still had some of the responsibilities, but then I found a love for YouTube. And I really switched from paid ads to like organic traffic. And I was helping everyone on the team be their optimal selves. Just do the job like as best as they could.
And when you started, how big was the team?
In total, so Charisma on Command's a little strange because we were one of the first channels to have foreign language managers. So we already had like a Russian channel, a Spanish channel, a Portuguese channel, but these guys were just kind of starting out as well, which essentially, if you guys don't know, you take the same content, so it would be the same course, it would be the same YouTube content, you translate it into another language, and then I could reach a broader audience. And our position with those people, which just kind of took our stuff and dubbed it, was 50-50. So 50-50 on AdSense, 50-50 on sponsors and core sales and everything. So then they have mini teams as well, and those guys report to me. Back then, I think, so in total, the English-speaking Charisma on Command plus everyone else, I think we were at like 12 people, and now we're closer to 40, 45.
Damn. You basically started really getting into that, like managing kind of like a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
So you figured out, oh, this is kind of going to be my lane, whereas before you were more in the paid ad stuff.
Yeah, I just loved it. And I found a love of like getting the best out of people and like redirecting incentives so their incentives are aligned with the business as well, and just being very open and having like an open line of communication when it comes to like negotiation or like the actual value that they're giving to the business. versus I see like a lot of other channels or businesses in general just pay for time. It's like, we don't pay for time. We pay for the value that you bring in. If you bring a lot of value, then after a couple of months of doing it with proof of concept, you'll get paid a lot because you're bringing more profit to the business. You deserve a chunk of that profit.
Yeah, that's super cool. Basically making them an owner in kind of
their own project.
Yeah. So since you joined today, what's been the growth of the business? Like both from like I think you just mentioned the head count, but like from a, I guess, business perspective.
In terms of revenue and profit?
Yeah.
At the very beginning, when I first got on, I think we were making like 20 grand a month.
Okay. So 120 a year.
Yeah. And now we're making north of 200 a month.
And what is that revenue?
300, a little bit less, high 200s.
Nice.
Math could be a little fuzzy there, but because now we have like an accountant and I only check on it every quarter with the guys.
Yeah.
But we have about 75% profit margin.
I'm just trying to bad at back of the napkin math, but so that's 2.4 million profit a year then.
That was 2 years ago, and then we doubled that because of some projects. Mostly thumbnails and titles, which is hilarious. It's just such a small thing. We doubled the business because of that.
Damn.
So then that doubled it. But then this past year has been relatively slow. So I think we're around, I would say total like per year, like $3 million.
Okay. Profit.
This past year. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what I want to dig into is like what the business model actually looks like, right? Like what does a YouTube business model like that look like? I think there's a lot of YouTube channels out there that just like rely on AdSense. And I think what's really been interesting with Ben and Charlie and the channel is that you guys have turned it into more of a business, right? Like I think they have a business background. You have a business background versus they started with the business background and then became creators, right? And created a channel and created it as a business. So I think there's a lot to learn from that. But yeah, what does a $3 million profit channel look like on YouTube?
It's very simple. We don't do a lot. Essentialism all day, every day. We found what we're good at and we just double, triple, quadruple down on that. There's so many shiny objects out there and so much like short-term money to stick on. But the simple business is I can swear, right?
Yeah.
Create fucking awesome content that people love, that is actually helpful and useful. Work on your call to action at the end and then have a better product. For us, it's a course that relates to the content that you're spreading to the masses. And that's it. And now there's little things you can do like here and there, like follow up with emails. And if they didn't carts, if they leave the carts and leave their email in, like you follow up with it. But really at the end of the day, 80% of the course sales comes straight from the CTA of selling, hey, this is what we sell. If you like our stuff, we have a 60-day money back guarantee. And the course is only 30 days. So we're missing out on a lot of money, but everyone that stays in the course loves it. So we have 14,000 members who have stayed, but I think over 30,000 people who have taken the course. And then since they're done after 30 days, they have another 30 days that they could just get their money back. They get their money back. But we're building up goodwill, and you'll never see like a CoffeeZilla video of us or anything like that. And that really comes from the ethics of Charlie and Ben. I have to give them like kudos for that.
Yeah.
Over and deliver like crazy all the time.
So at the essence of it, how many videos you guys put out a month? I know it fluctuates between what, like 2
Yeah,
and 4?
It used to be one a week, one every Monday. And now it's one every 2 weeks.
Okay. So between 2 and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you put out those videos and it's usually the same formula, right? Of like breaking down like movie scenes or actors, right? And like breaking down the charisma from that, right? And then you have a call to action in there that basically redirects to like a course on charisma that you guys have on
Exactly.
Charisma University, right?
Yeah, and the course really isn't to how to be charismatic like Will Smith. Everyone is charismatic in their own separate way. So it's how to find your charisma, like your natural charisma style, and then be the best in that style.
Yeah. So I wanted to, one thing I think is really interesting is how Ben and Charlie have kind of turned this into a lifestyle business.
Yeah.
Right? Like how many hours do they spend on the channel a week? If you had to,
I'm gonna out them right now. Ben works a lot now, but it's fluctuated. So they're 50-50 owners of the business. Charlie, for years, I'm talking 5-6 years, didn't take a day off. He was creating every single day, writing scripts. That was his thing. And then at the beginning, he was editing them. Like, you can go back, they're still uploaded. They're still pretty badly edited, but they're still up there. And so he was writing and editing sometimes. Then we've hired our amazing editor, Andre, still on the team, and before me. And Ben was doing like the accounting stuff and the sales page stuff and like selling the course and all that kind of stuff, and experimenting with different projects, like what's actually going to work. And then recently, in the past 2 years, it's switched. So now Ben is writing scripts, and we've hired some people around that as well. And Charlie is taking a total backseat, and he's like, all right, I'm resting now. It's my time has come to rest. So to answer your question, Charlie probably spends 2 hours a week.
Okay.
Now, because he just talks to me and some people on the team, in terms of, like, of work, and it's usually over a game of League. And Ben, he does a lot. I would say, I don't know in terms of like weekly, but he probably spends, it's like 4 or 5 hours a day.
Okay.
Because he writes the scripts, he reviews other people's scripts. He talks to me a lot about like the business overall and other things that we could do.
It's not okay. Cool. So he hasn't fully delegated that, but yeah, in general, I feel like you guys have done like a really good job of just like building a team and like delegating every single position that's delegatable, right? And they've done a great job of like putting you, giving the reins to you as far as like managing the whole, like all the staff and just like minimizing the work they have to do on the channel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's, I feel like a lot of channels, especially, they fall into the trap of, business people in general fall into the trap of like revenue, high revenue. I like so much revenue. Like, dude, I made $100 million revenue. Like, great. So did I. Like, I made zero profit. It doesn't matter. And all they care about is profit. Like, they don't care about revenue at all. Now, it's obviously it's an important metric, but if it's not going to make profit at a certain margin, we don't even think about it. So there's an ROI spreadsheet that we do when starting a new project, and we've ran hundreds of projects because just on the internet with YouTube, there's so many projects that you could do, right? There's like an unlimited amount of things you could do. So it's important to have a framework, a sheet that you can reference back, but also to put projects on there to actually analyze, okay, when will this be profitable? And how long will it take us to get to be profitable? And then when we are profitable, what are the margins there, right? And it's hard because you're assuming, right? We're speculating, but that speculation has led us to just double down on what we're good at.
So what does that look like? It's like, so let's say you're starting a new TikTok, right? Because you expect that to drive revenue to the course. So you're going to map out like how much is this going to cost? And
so
then,
I can walk you through the sheet. Yeah. So ROI spreadsheet, you got starting a TikTok, expected revenue to come in, like just total money after a certain amount of months, let's say 3 months. Let's say, and it's per month. So let's say we expect it to sell a certain amount of CUs because we add a link to it to some of the TikToks. Let's say it sells, I don't know, 2 CUs. So that's about $1,000, $1,200. And Okay, now who's going to do it? Am I going to be recording these TikToks? No. Is Charlie? Fuck no. Is Ben? Maybe. Okay, Ben, like, is this worth your time to make $1,200 to record 6 TikToks a week? He's going to say no. Okay, what if we delegate it to someone else? Is it worth paying them? Is it worth hiring someone else? Okay, what if they want to charge $2,000? It's not worth it.
Yeah.
What if they want to charge $500? Is that even worth putting the time to QA the content? Because one thing that is really important to us is QAing content. We have a whole process around how we make sure the content is good. It goes through a lot of eyes. And then that's now on my time, because if we hire someone else, even if they're cheap and it's a 50% profit margin project with just hiring someone else, because we're going to make $1,200, we're going to sell 2 CUs, and we're going to hire someone for $600. So the profit is $600 to us. But then that also takes my time, because I have to QA every TikTok while I could be doing something else, or maybe my work is going to be lessened in other places as well, or maybe I just don't want to, because it's not worth $600 for me to look at.
Yeah.
Why not just look at the other levers in the business that are bigger levers, and we can go into what those levers are later, that could really 2-3x the business, not the small shit. So, and then at the very end, it's that kind of calculation. It's a conversation that we have with each other. And then it's things that are unmonetizable, so almost intangible, like brand awareness. Like, is there some value into that? Maybe. And then the final thing is, how much fun is it? It's like, are you going to enjoy doing it? Is it a good time? Because if it is, then it might be worth me QAing for $600, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how we think about every single project.
What does a team look like? You said before, you said like you guys are working with like 40-ish people now. That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people, but it's not all English Charisma on Command. We have so I'll explain it with our English speaking Charisma on Command, and then multiply by 6. That's how many foreign language channels that we have, over 500,000 subscribers. There's a bunch of other ones that have less than that, but
the teams about the same size?
Yeah.
For the English and all the other ones? Wow.
Because it's the main manager guy, which is me. There's a script writer, and we usually have 2 of those. So for them, it would be the dubber, right? So we have 2. Then there's an editor, and we have 2. Then there's a thumbnail and title guy. And then we have one of those.
But so for the foreign languages, they're just like translating the thumbnails, I'd imagine.
They're dubbing it over, yeah. But they also have someone to do their A/B testing, because it's worked so well for us, and it's working so well for them as well. But since it's such an intense project, and you need to, we can dive into that project in and of itself. It's very interesting, and it can help a lot of YouTube channels out there, I think. But you need someone specifically for that. Like, we pay someone specifically for that. But to continue on, then we have 3 people on support, and these are Filipino ladies, which I love. Pam does the billing, so she does all the billing stuff. And Annie is just she's the woman that does all the reporting, insane QA, detail-oriented like crazy. And then Gemma is support. So if you need any help getting into the course or anything, or if you want to reach out to us, you're talking to Gemma. And then we have our coach inside Charisma University, answers questions for you. And I don't want to leave anyone out. And I think that's it.
Nice. And then, just repeat that. Wow. So like 4 channels, basically 4 language channels, more or less.
4 or 5, yeah.
Interesting. And so how do you coordinate all those people? Like, what's your role as the operator? Like, how do you coordinate all of that?
So it sounds intense. It's a lot of people, but it really isn't, because we added pieces slowly over a long period of time. And as everyone got added on, They all knew their job and they all knew their metric to hit. And then we have a call every quarter seeing how their metric has been hit. And there's always a stretch goal, which is like with the editor, script writer, thumbnail guy. We have a stretch goal to hit a certain amount of views every single month, total channel views. And then we just have a regular goal. Like we have to hit this no matter what. And that like impacts bonus and stuff like that. And then I have a weekly call with everyone on the team. Everyone like for the foreign side. On the English side, but also the managers of the other.
Okay, so that's about 15 people.
Yeah,
15 that's 15 calls.
A lot of calls.
Yeah, and you have a one-on-one with every single one.
Yeah. Just so, and I know like what everyone's life is like, and I don't see it as a job. Like I fucking love it.
No, it's true. Like when I was staying with you, you're just like having a call with a friend. It's like a catch up and then some after business stuff.
We jump on chess.com. Like we go through our metrics. I'm like, cool. Like, how are you feeling? Do you want to change anything up? I ask them. I've literally coached, I think, 4 people, Hadley being one of them, how to negotiate. Because people negotiate with me. And then I'm like, don't say that. Like, this is what you should do instead. And I say, like, tell me what value you're bringing. Like, I want to know. Like, if you deserve to be paid more, I'm the guy. Like, you need to tell me these things. And you might be right. But give me a report. You know, like, show me the evidence. Yeah. And so I call it like a big happy family. Because everyone gets paid, I think, really well in terms of compared to industry standards. And it's pretty chill. It's pretty relaxed.
So everyone has a KPI.
Everyone has a KPI, and then certain buckets of people in the org chart. We have a group KPIs as well.
Okay, and those KPIs are tied to compensation. Then, like if they exceed those KPIs, do they get like a bonus?
Yeah, it's the bonus at the end of the year.
At the end of the year, you do a bonus structure.
Yeah.
Do you have an example, like for a script writer?
I won't out anyone on the team, but for myself, so like I do my own KPIs, but I work with just Ben and Charlie. It was just sales of CU. It's very cut and dry. Sales of CU and views. That's all.
And views on the channel.
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh no, sorry, there was 3. Sales of CU, views of the entire channel at the end of the year, and NPS score of the actual course.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So you're incentivized to
make the course better.
Keep the
product awesome, improve it, keep the views high, and make some sales.
Besides calls, what do you do during a week?
Great question. Well, now not a lot because it's pretty well run. But
we can also talk about pre now, like the period before where you were
it was just a lot of building,
starting new projects, and
it was a lot of starting new projects that failed, but some we kind of kept on. That's like half-assed, just kind of stuff. Like a TikTok one, for example. If you see our TikTok, because of me, and the quiz that we built out for that, like find out your charisma type, brings in it's crazy. It brings in hundreds of emails a day. But it's impossible to convert. So that sounds like a sexy project. But I'm like, where's the money here? And maybe we just haven't found, I'm not good enough to do email campaigns and all that stuff. Yeah. We haven't found someone that is good enough to convert our course in email campaigns, because it's very difficult for us to sell our course, which is amalgamous. It's like charisma. Like, what does that really help? Like, usually you sell sex or money, or that's about it. How to make more money, or how to get more sex, essentially, or like that's the easiest thing to sell, and a lot of courses are like that. But us is like, okay, well, charisma, it can help you get a better job, get a higher raise, get more friends, have confidence to ask your girlfriend to be your wife, and we have thousands of testimonials that like say these things, but it's very difficult. And that's why I failed at my first job with them. To sell that to someone brand new, a cold audience. You need that warm audience that trusts you. I just went on a rant. What was your question?
The question was kind of like, what are the projects?
Oh, now.
What are those projects, right? So basically you were spinning up you're experimenting with different projects that would be alternative drivers to the course.
Yeah. So there were, with us, we've been pretty unimaginative with the business, and we've only really looked at, okay, how do we increase the number of people that see the cart, and how do we increase cart conversions? That's pretty much it. So different traffic sources, and then essentially just click-through rate optimization. And like there's a bunch of projects in there over the years, and we can try to run my memory, but I kind of forget a lot of them because they're really
one thing you were telling me about is like a big thing for you guys was like optimizing the CTA, right? Just like in the videos, and that made a huge difference, right?
Yeah.
And then the second one that you talked to me a lot about is TubeBuddy. Basically, by increasing the performance of videos on YouTube, you're increasing revenue, right?
Yeah, you're increasing the leads. So
instead of creating a new revenue source, is like, oh, how do we like 10x on like what's working?
Exactly. So, and you hit it. Those two projects are exactly what I just said. One is click-through rate, which is a CTA. The other one is just generating more leads. And with TubeBuddy, we've essentially 2x the business, almost 3x, from just working with the back catalog and revamping. Essentially, it's like the front door of your business. That's the first time anyone ever sees what your business is a thumbnail and a title. And if you can sexy it up or make it different and find patterns and apply that to bigger videos, then YouTube sends more people to your business. And on top of that, which was pretty awesome, we first started with optimizing the call to action. So we added testimonials, we added people's faces, we took out people's faces, we talked about different things in the course, we added a guarantee, I made it longer, we made it shorter, we tried it in the middle. It was a lot of failed experiments, but now we kind of have it honed down. And we also have a KPI sheet of every single video, how it performs per 100,000 views on the actual CTA, not just in total, because you got to do the math, the ratios on that. And so we started with a strong base because we were testing the CTAs first. And then
how much did that improve the
that 2x the business as well?
Damn.
Yeah. So it's been like, this is what I'm saying. You need to find the levers that can 2x a business that they're like in plain sight. Like it sounds obvious now that I'm saying it, but like, yeah, of course you want to make the front of your business sexier and put up a bigger sign to get more people in. So like always optimizing the thumbnails and the titles to get more people in. Oh, of course, like you want to make your offer better or sexier once someone is inside your shop, which is your video. Like that makes total sense now that so then the next thing is, okay, once they picked up the item, which is clicking on the CTA link, they walk up to the cash register, which is the sales page. Our sales page, go check it out. It's awful. It's embarrassing, but it converts. And we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to make that sales page better. It was written like 7 years ago by Ben. And I don't know if Ben's just a master copywriter or something, but that thing still converts relatively well compared to everything else. But I want to try like a video sales page because like, what are we doing? Taking someone from watching a video to all of a sudden 20 pages of text doesn't make any sense to me. Like, of course, a video sales letter or a sales page would work better. That's something that's like
the next frontier.
Exactly. And it takes, we move pretty damn slow. Over the past 5 years, we found 2 projects out of 20 that have 2x the business though. And the rest were just like, this isn't really doing a lot, cut it.
Comes back to the ROI spreadsheet.
And essentialism. It's like, is this essential? Am I just being busy? I don't know about you, but I don't like to be busy.
Anything that people can learn from what you guys have implemented with A/B testing on TubeBuddy?
Oh, that's the secret sauce. Dude.
Yeah, is it?
Can't give that away.
Okay, cool. I had to try. All right. So one last thing I want to touch about with Ben and Charlie is your relationship with them and what you've learned from them. So I think it's really like you guys have a really close relationship, like
awful relationship. I've learned nothing from them.
Like most most of your meetings you do over League, right? League of Legends.
Okay, that's not true. I kind of over exaggerate that. Okay. Like we play League every night.
But that's a lot of League, yeah.
It's a lot of League. It's a 2-game rule.
When I was at your place, you're playing, and it's like 10 to 12, right? Yeah. It's just like every night, yeah.
Yeah. So the relationship with Ben and Charlie, I love them both. They love me back. They're like my best friends now. And I think it started because I recognized where I was, and I took on, which is the truth, I took on the mentor-mentee status, and I'm like, these guys are my mentors. Like, they're literally 10 years older than me. Mm-hmm. They have 10 years more of business experience than I do. I could have walked in Mr. Big Hot Shots, just sold my business. You guys haven't. But I was like, this is a brand new space. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I need to learn from you guys. And because of that, they're East Coast Philly boys. So they're pretty intense. When you first meet them, they're smiles, but they can get pretty intense. And I just learned. They learned to trust me, and I learned to trust them. They are both of them, the most ethical people I've ever met in terms of how they deal with negotiation with staff, myself, but also offers. And I'm just like, I want to be like these guys in that way in business. So I just grew really fond of them, and I would just spend a lot of time in LA, and we would just end up hanging out. And now, every time I talk with Charlie, it's like 5 minutes of business, maybe 10. And unless it's like a scheduled call, because then we have our game faces on, because like we're in front of the staff and we got to be professional in front of the staff. But every time we just chat, it's just for fun and just like life catching up. And with Ben, it's a little 50-50. It's like business, but also life as well. And like you said, we play League every night. But I play games with like everyone on the team. Like I play.
It's part of the culture, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. We jump on chess.com. We have a tab in Slack that I made that's called Passion Projects. And I'm just like, guys, put your passion stuff here. Like, this was 2 years ago. Like, I put on the Golden Hippo, which got 200,000 followers on TikTok, but that got banned. And I was like, this is my passion project. Other people put their passion projects up. So it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. I feel like you probably are responsible for, in large part, for some that culture, kind of in a way, right?
Yeah, I would say I am.
The fun,
because that's how it was when I had my first business too. It was fun. I was like, I don't want anyone doing that they don't want. Like, I don't want anyone to feel like they have a job here. Mm-hmm. Now, some people in the business, they want to feel like they have a job. It's very strange. They're like, no, I need it.
They're not comfortable with that, yeah.
Yeah, the like open sharing culture, which are like, hey, I'm totally chill with. But yeah, if they can be open with me, I can be open with them.
I want to talk more about this COO, this YouTube COO opportunity, right?
Chief Operations Officer.
Yes. Why do you think that's becoming more popular nowadays? And I feel like with this podcast specifically, I interview a lot of these types, right? Like just interviewed Angus.
Angus, shout out Angus.
Yeah, who's behind Ali Abdal. Interviewed Caleb behind like Hermosi, but like I feel like this is like a new position that's like solidifying as like very necessary, and that's understaffed. Like not a lot of people have the skills to do that, and a lot of channels are looking for these people, these right-hand operators, right? Why do you think that is? And
the industry is maturing. I think creators are now noticing that they're making a good amount of money. They also understand the opportunity, and they're like, whoa, this isn't just me creating a video. Like I could sell something on the back end here. And for that, I need to build a team. But then I also have to create cool stuff. But then I have to operate this team. And I never operated a team before. Like, what's a team? How do you even hire people? What's an SOP? What's a KPI? So then, but they're like fun creator people. So I see a lot of very awesome, like pretty cool creators that don't know how to run a business because they've never done it before. And so then when someone steps in as an operator, it could radically change the business and make a lot of money and hopefully save the original creator their most important asset, which is their time and their headspace to do what they do best, which is create. And yeah, I shout out to Angus. Like, Ali is a perfect example of that, where he was working and he's a guy who can do it all. But Angus really stepped up from his like smaller position, and he grew naturally into that right hand man position. That's where I see the majority of number twos coming from. Like, you start at like some low level, and then you gain trust of the number one, the creator, and then they start laying more responsibility onto you. And then as the years go by, you're like, oh, I know what a KPI is and an SOP and how to hire someone and blah, blah, blah. And
you end up understanding the business like as well, if not better than them. And like definitely better than anyone else on the outside.
Exactly.
Right? I think when I was chatting with Angus, he was like, they were considering hiring the COO, right? And they kept interviewing people and they couldn't find anyone. At some point, it was like, the best person is me, you know? It's I've done all of these roles in some way, you know? I need to level up in some way, like from a managerial standpoint. But like, I understand the business better than anyone else. Right?
And that's exactly what I was going to say next is, I think to be a good number two is you really have to understand everybody's roles. And you don't have to be, you shouldn't be better than everyone that you've delegated those roles to. But you should understand how long it takes to edit a video, how long it actually takes to think of titles, to create the thumbnails, to script write, to create the product, to do the support, to actually go through Samcard and click the refund and all the stuff that you have to do to get their email out. Like, you have to understand all the processes so then you can be level-headed when speaking to the people you've delegated to. And that's why I think a lot of number twos, they're starting from those positions, whether you're a script writer, an editor, or whatever, and then you level up because you have a taste of that and you can delegate that away. And as a team grows, well, then you're in that position to then manage those people.
I want to talk salary.
Dun, dun, dun.
So you mentioned that you currently make, I think your incentive, I don't know if you mentioned this, but actually,
haven't mentioned it.
Okay. So what does your compensation as this COO of Charisma on Command look like?
A lot of money. Want to get into the details?
Oh, I get into the juicy details. Just because
I'll walk you through the process of how it happened. I think some people would like to hear how it happened, not 100%, just a big fat number at the end. Which is not that fat. It's not huge. So it started with 0, like I said at the very beginning, 0 for 6 months. Then it turned into 5. And then that turned,
base.
Yes, $5,000 a month. I was a retainer, I guess. And then after that, it turned to 7. And that was, let me get it's been 5 years, so it takes, I kind of forget. After a couple of months of 5, I think it went to 7. Then it went to 10. And then I'm like, dude, I'm so happy with 10. Like, this is awesome. I'm getting paid for stuff that I love to do. And this is great. But then it got to a point where, I don't know what book we read, all 3 of us, the executive team, me, Charlie, and Ben. And it was about profit sharing. And so then I'm like, I want profit share. And they were like, yeah, we think you deserve profit share. So then I got 10% profit share, which was the most I ever made working for someone else. And
how much was that at the time?
That was, I think, $30,000
a month.
So then, this was just last year it happened. I said, guys, this is a great business we got here. I don't feel like I'm doing a lot. And we talk every day, like us 3. So I'm like, I don't feel like I deserve 10% of this. Like, this is not equity, which is very different from rev share, very different from profit share. Incentives are totally different. So I'm like, this is profit share.
Plus, you were at a point where you wanted to start some of your own projects. On the
I wanted to start my own stuff. So I'm like, I'm going to be very upfront. I want to do less work, and I want to be paid a little bit less because I think that's fair. So then we cut that in half. So then that went to 5%. And then, which was 15, it changes every month, right? Because it's profit of the business, but say average 15. And then that recently has gone up to 7%. So now I'm at 7, which is, depending on the month, anywhere from 12 to 20.
Nice. I think one thing that would be valuable as well is for anyone who's working in this type of position, right? Like how can they negotiate profit share, right? Because I think a lot of people I talk to in the space are kind of scared to even bring that up, right? But what they don't realize is a lot of times it's in the best interest of the creator as well, because that's going to incentivize them to create more value in the business overall. If you're in a position where you're able to do that, right? So what's the game plan for someone that's an aspiring creator, COO, to start kind of negotiating for that?
Yeah, the number one thing you got to do is make a compelling argument, and there's nothing more compelling than a report. And a report that shows the value you've actually brought to the business overall. And what I mean by value, this abstract thing, is money. How much money did you bring to the, no, I'm not talking about rev, profit, how much cash in the pocket did you bring to the owner? And then that is where you have to frame it. It's no longer, you're retaining me for this. If I'm bringing in $50,000 because of my actions, well, in a perfect world, I deserve 50% of that, but we don't live in a perfect world. So then you can negotiate, depending on who the number one is, a percentage of that total money that you bring in. But for that to actually happen, you got to be bringing in some money. You can't just be a placeholder. Number two, one of the things that really helps with that is owning a project. So when you start a project, say, this is my responsibility. If I fuck up, or if this fucks up, it's because of me. Mm-hmm. So my comp should be, it's not just fun upside. There's downside to this too. Say, I want to own this project, and if I own it, then I want the upside, but I also want the downside just in case it fails. And that could hurt your pocket. You might have to end up paying the number one back some money.
I think like a good thing is like, so like, let's say your base right now is, let's say it's like 70, 80K a year, right? I think a lot of times you have to be able to risk that base to some extent, right? Where it's like, yes, hey, I want to own this project, right? I'm lowering my base, but I'm baking in that new salary, like compensation structure. I'm baking in the potential success or failure of this project, right? So I could either be making like way less than I was before when I was just like a base, but I could also be making way more.
But also, fuck a base. It's like, depending on your risk tolerance, why do you have a base?
You don't have a base, right?
No.
Yeah. You're like all...
I'm all profit share. I'm fully dependent on how well the business does. Like, go for a higher percentage of profit and remove the base. Like, you don't want a base. You're not a retainer guy. You are a part of the business now. If you're a real number two, you need your incentives aligned with the business. As the business moves up, you move up with it. And the other way around, if it comes crashing down, recession coming soon, you're coming down too.
But let's say it's like not a right hand. Right? Let's say it's like a thumbnail designer or an editor. You know, a lot of times it's still, I think, up like potential for that upside. Yeah, it might not be 100% based on the. There might be some base in there. So,
yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of number twos, well, I was an entrepreneur before. Yeah. But now I've kind of converted like 5 years ago into an intrapreneur. So I took responsibility for the project and I wanted more upside on it.
Yes.
And so I was working as an entrepreneur inside of this organization. And now recently I'm converting back to entrepreneur. I'm converting back into entrepreneurship. I'm transitioning into entrepreneurship. Yeah. And with the mastermind. So I do think it's important, if you're comfortable with it, the tolerance level and where you are financially, it's easy for me to say, but to take a risk inside the business. Yeah.
And the bigger the risk, the more potential upside there is as well. Sweet. Well, Well, I think that's a good place to end. Did you have anything you want to add?
No, I want to go eat some brisket with you, man. We're in Austin, Texas.
Let's do it. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for sharing your story, and I'm sure it'll be super valuable.
Yes, sir.
All right. Peace.